More members of Congress want special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation to come to an end. Arizona Representative Andy Biggs penning an op-ed in USA Today where he calls for the witch hunt to end. He was also on Varney and Company earlier. Watch.
It's clearly careened way out of control and way beyond the scope of its original purpose. They still have people on board who have a tremendous anti-Trump bias, and so this is not an open, fair, unbiased investigation.
Right.
This is an attempt to get to a result. Mueller should do the right thing and step down.
Should he? And is there any merit to stopping the investigation altogether? I am joined right now by the representative from Tennessee, Representative Marsha Blackburn. Representative, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Should it end now?
I think the American people would like for this to end. Look, they've been at this for a year. They cannot prove that there was collusion. What we know is that the American people would like to know, if you're looking at Russia, how about Clinton Foundation? How about Uranium One? How about the DNC? How about the fake dossier? Or is this just about President Trump? So are you going to do it holistically or not? And those are the right questions. And Tennesseans ask me those questions every single day when I am out and about. They are very fearful. They don't want the FBI to be a politicized organization. They don't like what they're hearing about the team that is around Robert Mueller. They do not like the political bias that they have brought to bear in doing their job. And it concerns them when they know that these were people that were working behind the scenes for, they called it an insurance policy in case Donald Trump won. That is not the way our federal government works. It is not the way our systems work. And the American people want this to be a fair and honest and truthful evaluation and investigation, and they want it to get over with so that we can move on. They're excited about what President Trump's done.
What do you want? I mean, I hear everything you're saying, and the reports have been pretty scandalous of what we've learned in terms of the biases among members of Mueller's team. Does that mean Mueller should say, okay, enough is enough, I'm going to step down, turn this over to someone else who maybe is less partial?
Right. If he were to be removed, that is up to the president. That is up to the attorney general. And I find it just outrageous that Mueller is not pulling people together that are on his team and then conducting what a good leader would do and say, if you're bringing these political opinions into this, if you have written such, tweeted such, spoken such, you do not deserve to be on this team, because we want the American people to have faith in the institution. And right now, Trish, what people will say is, what if the FBI or a federal agency were to turn against me? What am I to do? How would I handle this? And they're looking at this and they are absolutely aghast. They are, and this is where Mueller should be someone who will say, I am going to straighten this out. I'm going to clean this up. And if he can't do that, then maybe it is time for him to discuss recusing himself from this investigation. But quite frankly, I think let's bring it to an end.
Well, we're going to learn some more, right, Representative? I mean, with the Inspector General's reports
I think you're right about
we've already seen some text messages that are, as you said, pretty scary, because I think, we all realize that, if the deep state were to turn on you, God help you, right? And that's not the kind of country we are or should be.
That's right. That's right. And think about this. So many Americans, I know certainly Tennesseans, knew people that were involved in Tea Party organizations. And then they went through all of this with the IRS.
I remember.
And the scandalous treatment there. And Lois Lerner. And then Lois Lerner is, I don't want to make any of this public. We want these depositions sealed. Don't ever let people know what we said. We would fear for our lives, or all the conversation that took place there. And people could not believe that the federal government was being used in that way, and then they had those admissions. Yeah. There is such a lack of institutional trust. And one of the things that elected officials need to focus on, and questions that actually should be asked, is how do you restore that trust so that people realize we are indeed a nation of by and for the people.
Very important.
That when you are going to be represented before the federal government, you're going to have a fair shake. That if you're going into a court, you're considered innocent until you're proven guilty. Those are principles on which we stand. What has happened with the FBI is a shaking of that foundation, and my
and you need that foundation restored. I get it.
That is right.
I understand.
That is right.
And you know, I've often said it may not even be, something may not even be a conflict, but if there is a perception of a conflict, that deteriorates people's trust in different institutions, and that's when it becomes a problem.
It leads
I unfortunately
people,
have to take a little break, so I want to thank you for joining us today, Representative Marsha Blackburn.
Happy New Year.
You too.